this story is disturbing. Parents, I'm telling you in advance, it's about two husbands that adopt sons that abuse the sons. So if you don't want your kids to hear this, dismiss them for a second, and now let's go through the story together. I do think we need to talk about the story. Husbands who abused adopted sons in House of Terrors slapped with massive prison sentence. William and Zachary Zulock, a Georgia couple, were sentenced to 100 years in prison without parole after pleading guilty to multiple charges of sexual abuse after their two adopted sons, including aggravated sodomy, incest, and sexual exploitation of children. The crimes came to light when the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children tipped authorities about homemade child sexual abuse material, CSAM, linked to the Zulock's IP address. Investigators found surveillance footage and electronic evidence, including graphic images and messages documenting the abuse. District Attorney Randy McKinley described the Zulock's home as a house of terror, stating the depth of defendants' depravity, which is as deep as it gets, is not greater than the resolve of those who fought for justice and the strength of the victims in this case. By the way, Rob, this is not even the full story of it. If you go to New York Post with the story to read what else is in this story, these guys were selling these boys to others. These two guys were selling the boys for other men to abuse their adopted sons. Think about this story. So the question becomes, this is the one. If you can go a little bit lower, Rob, to keep going a little bit lower, lower, gives us 34, 3,600 years, keep going. Those are the two of them defendants. Keep going, Lord. The two brothers were 12 and 10 years old. The couple raised them under good guys, but the rich of his as a government employee had a dark secret. Okay, Zachary worked in banking, and William was a government employee. The couple were regularly forcing the boys to have sex with them, and would show the abuse, pedophilic pornography. Keep going lower.
Yeah, love.
Look at the shirts, Rob.
Evidence showed that they even begged about the abuse to twisted friends, with one telling police Zachary once sent a Snapchat message reading, "I'm going to F my son tonight, stand by," along with images of the boys being abused. And they allegedly used social media to pimp the boys, at least to two men, in depraved local pedophile sex rings. The couple were arrested in 2022. Both of them pleaded guilty, child molestation. Wait a minute. So you can stop this one here. So here's my question for you, Rob. If you can run a poll, okay, what should happen to these guys? 100 years or death penalty? Because just yesterday, I watched a mother with two daughters talking about one of those 37 people that had a death penalty that Biden changed to life sentences, okay? And some of them raped children who were on death row, and he flipped it. And the parents and the daughter are like, "We never got a call from the president on how we felt about this. You just flipped it on us, and we were feeling like we're going to get our, obviously nothing comes close because that person's not in your life right now. They're no longer with you." Imagine these two boys being adopted, 10 and 12 years old. What should happen to these two guys? There's a lot of questions here, by the way. There's some will even speculate to say, can a gay couple be able to adopt kids? Some people go as far as that. If you just go 80 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, when they did a survey by Gallup on what percentage were comfortable with this, it is a very, very small percentage compared to what it is today. But to me, what should happen to these guys? Worst case scenario, what kind of example should happen to these two men? Do you know what happens if you put them in jail and others find out what they did to these two boys? Do you know what they're going to do to these two men? Do you know what they're going to do to them? But the reality of it is that 100-year life sentence enough for the next gay couple to not want to be tempted to do something like this to boys that they adopt? What is the right decision to be made here, Tom? What do you think?
I think there are cases where you look at it and you wonder if the reform is even possible. I mean, remember, we call them prisons now, but once upon a time, they were deemed to be correctional facilities where you would go to debtor's prison and had to work your way out of debt, basically doing all this work and everything to get out. We're past that. federal prisons now, I looked this up, so you can check me on this, Rob. Federal prisons right now run about $120 a day or $44,000 a year. So you say to yourself, okay, hang on. If someone is not redeemable and you don't think that can come back, and they're 40 years old and they lived to 80 years in a prison, you got 40 years times 44,000. So the U.S. taxpayers are going to have there it is, 120. Yeah, 116, 120, right on it. So basically, if these guys live to 80, it's going to cost the taxpayer $1.8 million each by my quick. So $3.6 million. So the first question is, are they even redeemable? The second question is, society is now going to pay almost $4 million to keep them in prison. And then the next question is, do you run into something where you say, you know what? You've crossed the line here. It's time to use capital punishment in other ways than an eye for an eye. And I think you look at it and say, you know what? If you were to ask some of these prisoners that are lifers, do you want to stay in the prison system or would you like to opt out? What do you mean? Would you like to tap out? You get cancer in certain countries, you can get an assisted suicide. Would you like to tap out? Otherwise, you're going to be here for 40 years and you're going to get incredible abuse because prisoners are not kind to child molesters. They are not. You look in the U.S. prison system, that seems to be the one area that all the prisoners are united on. And you know what? The child molesters have horrible things happen to them. I'm talking about beatings, punishments, a lot of things. So these guys may not make it past 60. Someone may shiv them in prison. Shiv is a prison term for creating a knife out of something and killing someone. And so I think, you look at it, you say, guys, you know what? You can opt out. It's going to cost us $4 million to take care of you, or we're going to close one eye and let these prisoners take justice on you. Come on, dude. But do you go all the way to capital punishment? I'd love to put it to a vote of the people the same way the Californian people voted on that. Put it to a vote of the people.
What do you think? Tom, what do you think? I'm asking you, what do you think?
I don't think they're redeemable, and I see a path to lethal injection here. Personally, I do.
Okay, Vinny, your thoughts.
Well, first I want to just state the obvious that the LGBTQAI plus whatever community, they've been having a freaking pretty bad run for this past 4 years, especially under an administration that hangs that freaking disgusting flag by the American flag in front of the White House. The majority of the last mass shooters, especially in schools, have been in the LGBT community. The sexualization of the youth, drag queen story hour, kids stripping at gay clubs, which we've seen it. That's in the LGBTQ community. I think it's disgusting, and that children are the most neglected group in this country. We have hundreds of thousands of them coming into the country. Nobody knows where the hell they are. You know what I mean? You have them getting sexualized left and right. Nobody gives a damn. And this couple, Pat, and you were asking, because a lot of people are like, man, they need rehabilitation. There is zero rehabilitation for a freaking pedophile. Pat, you know me, I'm almost sober a year and almost 7 months, okay? I was an alcoholic, all right? But you know what? It's not past tense. You're always an alcoholic, okay? You don't get cured. You still know that thing is there, that alcohol is there. You mean to tell me that disgusting, evil thing that's inside them as a pedophile, that's going to go away? It doesn't go away. They're always going to be those people, and they're always going to freaking want it. So something needs to be done with that. And I said this before in the past, Pat, about Tom, is it at Matthew chapter 16, verse 8? This is the Bible. This is God. When it comes to hurting the youth, it's better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the depths of the ocean. You might as well kill yourself, which is an unredeemable sin, than mess with these freaking kids, Patrick. I think there's no curing them. And like you said, they go to prison. They might be protected. They might get killed. But I think there's nothing helping these people. And I think we need to take care of them, plain and simple, and set an example.
Adam.
Yeah. Well, we all saw the movie The Sound of Freedom, right? And we met one of the producers and the director. And the biggest issue I had with the movie was there was no issue. It was completely understandable and it was completely something that needed to be addressed. However, the issue I do have is how the media portrayed this movie as some sort of QAnon conspiracy, as if, oh my God, these types of things don't happen. PBD, you said on the podcast a few weeks ago, I think just 2023 alone, there was, I think, 375,000 reports of missing
359.
children.
Yep.
Something insane, right? This is, how many people fit into a football stadium? 60,000, 80,000, 100,000? These are 5 to 10 football stadiums worth of missing children. Are you freaking kidding me? And then we see this picture of this couple in their pride flag, family home agenda, whatever that was, as if, everything's totally normal. So, I think you asked the question, what should happen to these people? Without a doubt, castration, done. You're losing your Johnson. Sorry, guys. You're never going to be able to do this again. And by the way, Tom touched on this. In the prison system and in correctional facilities, there's an unwritten code. In PBD, you've interviewed mafia, criminals, drug dealers, the whole lot. At the top of the list, at the criminal pyramid in terms of payback from fellow inmates, it's crimes against children and sex offenders, no doubt. Beyond that, snitches, informants, former law enforcement below that, the weak and vulnerable below that. At the top of the list are these sex offenders. These guys are going to get what's coming to them, no doubt.
But Adam, this is a little bit different.
PBD, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, 'cause Adam, you mentioned the Sound of Freedom, all that's a separate issue. This is a gay couple adopting boys. And I get where you're coming from. I think that's horrible what they did with the Sound of Freedom. But this is the issue at hand is, should gay couples, true gay men, be able to adopt two boys? Because then that opens up a window of possibility. I mean, they're the same sex as these guys. These people are not related to them. They're getting incest charges, but incest, that isn't your blood. These boys aren't your blood. And then if they get older, are you going to be sexually attracted to them? Because they're not your kids. These are strangers' kids that you paid for. You bought these kids, basically, from the state, because you have to go through all the paperwork and all the licensing, but they're not your kids. So at one point, you're going to be showering these freaking kids with their dinglings hanging out. That's a line where I don't know, man. That's a touchy subject for me. That's where I'm at.
I have very strong opinions about this, and I think there needs to be a hardcore pain towards someone that does something like this for you to not want to replicate it. It has to be extremely painful in this example, because, the people that also proved for them to get the kids, what kind of background check did you do on them?
Yeah.
Because let's just say if I'm a bank and you give somebody a $2 million loan for a house, how do we do the audit on them? How do we do the underwriting? What signs did you look for? Outside of the credit score, what else did we see? Income to debt ratio, what else did you look through? How much cash savings did they have? Did they get fired recently? Did we call reference checks? What do we do to give these guys $2 million for a loan that after 3 months they can't make a mortgage payment? So what is the underwriting process for a gay couple to be able to adopt a son? What did they do? What is I want to know the depth of that process so much before we move forward and say yes to it, and a certain level of accountability where boys are going to be interviewed every month to say, how's the experience? What's going on? And for about a good 3-year period until you get this, the boys need to come and be reported on how they're doing and checking them out to make sure they're good, they're healthy, until afterwards they're like, okay, cool. It's been 3 years. At this point, typically takes us 6 months to find out that you're good. At this point of the process, in the insurance space, they call it the incontestability clause for the first 2 years. I can look at everything. I want to have an incontestability clause. If I'm giving you 2 innocent boys for you to raise, I want to check you're doing your part. Like, in U.S., when when somebody that's here illegally marries somebody that's a U.S. citizen, and they check to see if they really love each other to make sure they give the citizenship to the husband. You know that whole process you
Yeah.
go through and interview. If we're doing that, what's more important to follow up on? Boys being, it's like a no-brainer to me for us to follow up on this, because I'm sure some do a great job at it. For those of you that bought our gear, yesterday we wore the Future Looks Bright, what do you call it?
Christmas gear.
For everybody. It was sick. Rob, if you can go to vtmerch.com and go to the Future Looks Bright pajamas that we had on, it was absolutely awesome. We took a family picture together. And then these sweaters that say Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. Our entire family was wearing this while we went to Disney World, while we went to, what do you call it, Universal, and we'll give you a little bit of insight in those two as well. But the pajamas, the Christmas gear, a ton of things that are going on right now is the end of year sale that happens right now, okay? That happens right now, 50% off select items for you to go take advantage of. Some of the items are gonna be like, wait a minute, that's 50% off, it's 50% off, but it's only gonna last for a minute. It's not gonna last a long time. First come, first serve. So for some of you that are wanting to buy gifts, and some of you guys that are the type that are very, very overly prepared, like my wife, go buy this stuff for next year so you're ahead of the game. You'll save yourself 50%. Today is when the wise people spend money. Today is when the wise people go invest and save that 50% for next year. And anybody who places a purchase over $200 gets a $50 gift card. The first 50 that place the order over $200 get a $50 gift card today. So go to vtmerch.com and place your order. I love seeing people around the world sport the gear Future Looks Bright. And everybody is starting to say, Future Looks Bright. It's becoming a thing. We want 1 million people around the world to wear that. If you're somebody that's a fan of us and what we do and what we stand for, go out there and sport some of that Future Looks Bright gear, hat, shirt, whatever it may be for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.